Alright, here's the spotlight review on the just released Jakks Pacific 5-inch Sonic the Hedgehog articulated action figures. Before we take a look at them, let's take a look at the packaging real quickly, as partake of every single video review on this channel, up close in your face. And the front of the packaging is basically similar to the bendable figures that came out first. The only difference is this says articulated instead of bendable, so that's how you know. Another way to tell is that it's got the Go Sega logo, which they're throwing up on all their figures now. Go Sega. Yeah, Go Sega. Right, that's it. So here's Sonic's packaging, if you haven't noticed. On the back of it, it showcases Sonic with his articulation points, 11 points to be exact. Here's a look at all 4 figures that we're going to take a look at in this video from Wave 1. And they also have a bio, so here's Sonic's. The world's fastest blue hedgehog, Sonic runs at top speed and can use his special homing attack ability to save the natural world around him. Right. So to save time, instead of having to reach back and grab packages like I usually do, I put them to the side here. So here's Tails packaging. It says Tails on the back. Shows Tails. Here's 12 points of articulation for him. He gets an additional point thanks to his tail. Here's the figures. Here's the bio at the top as I'm trying to squeeze this in here. Tails is an energetic fox and one of Sonic's closest friends. By spinning his 2 tails together, he can propel himself forward and fly in the air. I'll do that. Here's Shadow. Shadow on the back. Shadow showing off his 11 points of articulation. He's tied with Sonic. Here's figures. And at the top, with his amazing speed and raw power, Shadow the Hedgehog can control time and space with Chaos Control, or unleash a powerful explosion with his special Chaos Blast ability. That's that. Finally, we have Dr. Eggman. And on the back, showcases Dr. Eggman with some moving points of articulation, 13 to be exact. That's the most out of Wave 1 for such a bigger figure, of course. And to the top of the packaging, here we have his bio. An evil genius, Dr. Eggman has been battling Sonic for world domination. His intelligence allows him to build armies, mechanize landscapes, and construct weapons. That's it for the packaging for all 4 of them. Now we can take a look at the figures themselves, which you guys have been waiting for so very long since the announcement that these were being made. So here's Sonic. It's basically modern Sonic. You know, there really isn't that much to say about this. We've seen it over and over again in action figure form. This is just Jakks Pacific's take on it. So the real key difference here is how did they do with the articulation when compared to their non-articulated Bendy figures, because they really don't have any points. Anyway, we do have a swivel cut at the head. We got universal shoulder joints. For the shoulders, we have ball joints for the wrist, which is not mentioned on the back of the packaging. It just shows an arrow doing a swivel, and that's it. But no, there's a ball joint. We have universal hip joints. So you get that forward, you get that back. You get your full JCVD split when you turn it this way. You also have single jointed knees, 90 degrees, swiveled there above the knee, and a ball joint at the ankle, which works pretty good regardless of the hindrance by the sculpting of the socks. It works pretty good. Right, so posing the figure, there's lots of possibilities that you can pull off here. The only gripe is that these figures, well, 3 of them don't have any elbow joints because it would break up the sculpting, I'm assuming, at the arms because of how skinny they're supposed to be. Right. Anyway, Sonic's accessory, that's fine, just stand down. His accessory is a star spring. It's printed on nicely. We do have a little bit of some spring power here. A lot of spring power, actually. The only problem is, due to the fact that this peg is actually really small, you can't get much of a bounce going on here. If it was longer, I'm sure it would work better, but as it is, yeah, that's not really doing anything, is it? So let's test Sonic on it as it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's cosmetic. It's probably for a playset or something. It's not really going to do anything. It's just there for the appeal. Anyway, I'll get Sonic to stand up if I can. Let's move on to Tails now. Here's Tails. It's a nice little guy. Looks cute. Of course he should. Looks really good. I like the sculpt. I like his bands on his head. Nice and thick. Really good. Nice material. Ears are nicely painted. Face is nicely painted. Body's nicely painted. He does have the gray cuffs around his gloves and around his shoes. They did not skip a beat. And his tails are nicely painted too. Everything about him looks really good. Articulation for Tails is a swivel at the head. Universal shoulder joints. Kind of tight on my figures, so you might want to be cautious about that, but yeah, it works. Ball joints at the wrist. They didn't skip a beat for this little guy. He gets the same amount of articulation and then some when compared to his buddy Sonic. So yeah, everything seems to be working pretty good, as you can see, just like Sonic. Single jointed knees. That's really tight, but yep, 90 degrees. There's your swivel above that. You got your ball joint at the ankles, which works a lot better than Sonic's in my opinion. Surprisingly. That's really good. He does have articulation at the tail. As you can see, it goes around full 360. So you can pull off the, oh my god, what have we done from Wave 1 Tails of Jazzwares? Or you can actually just have him doing the tripod stance here and he can just lean on his tails and never fall over, which is nice. Options are really good at this point. Right, so his accessory is an invincible item box, even though it's not a box. Hey, I didn't make the name up. So yeah, it's got the invincibility design. It's done maybe on cardboard on the inside of this clear plastic dome piece here. Top spray painted, the base is spray painted, and we have a peg right there where the circumference of it is thick enough it can actually peg into the top of his hand, so he can actually hold the item box and hand it over to Sonic when he needs it when he's battling Dr. Eggman. And the scale between these two, magnificent. I love it. Next, Shadow. So Shadow looks amazing. Other than that, I have one little gripe about my figure, and that is this eye is misprinted. It's not really looking straight forward. It's actually leaning to the side just a little bit, but hey, it's not something you can really notice from far away. Still looks good. It's not bad. The stripes here are printed on the figure, not painted. So are the stripes going on around the forearms and the legs, which they didn't skip a beat. They're actually there. The rings are painted in gold instead of yellow like the bendable figure. I appreciate that. Articulation is similar to Sonic's. We really don't have to go through it. I'll just show off some movement here so you can see I'm not lying. Yep, there's your 11 points of articulation, just like Sonic. Done really quick here in real time. And unfortunately, Shadow is really difficult to stand up for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why I have problems getting him to stand. Unlike Sonic. Sonic can stand up just fine. Shadow gives me nothing but a headache time and time again, and making me look like a fool on camera. Oh no, there he goes. So yeah, I have to keep him bent forward just a little bit so he'll stand up fine. His accessory he comes with is a super ring, which has 10 rings included apparently. This looks okay, but when compared to the prototype, it looks so much better if it had that black outline around the number. But, oh well, it is what it is. Peg hole at the bottom, probably for some playset in the future, as you can see. Okay, he can hold it as well, so that's nice, and that could also help equal out the balance in the front, so he'll stand up, and now he is. There we go. Last but not least, Dr. Eggman, the greatest scientific genius in the world. that's my impression of Eggman. Yeah, it sucked. Anyway, you can see it's pretty much Eggman as we come to expect from the modern games since his Sonic Adventure days, which, yeah, looks good. His mustache looks impressive. It's really detailed when compared to his Jazzwares figure, which we will look at in just a moment. They actually went to the liberty of painting his lenses at the top of his goggles, which I'm surprised. His nose is painted from the top, not at the bottom though. They missed that. Ooh, oh well, can't really see it. Anyway, glasses are nicely painted on this side, but this side right here where my thumb is pointing at, it's a sloppy mess. That's my figure. Your results could be different. Yes, the blue goes up to his eyebrow. I can wipe that off easily with rubbing alcohol. Maybe even fix up the sloppiness if I want to later on. Anyway, here's a look at the figure all around. We do have some breakage here in the sculpting, only because of the articulation. This is an action figure, obviously. So even the breakage at the shoes is there. Alright, so let's go through articulation. Finally, we have an Eggman action figure that has head articulation, even if it is hindered by his giant mustache that keeps hitting the back of his collar piece. It still moves. See? That's good. We have universal shoulder joints for the shoulders, of course, like I said. We have single jointed elbows, 90 degrees. We also have a swivel above that, so it gives that more posability. At the arms, we also have ball joints at the wrists, even for Eggman. I'm impressed. Hip joints, they're universal, but there's only that much give right there from the front, from the back. But if you turn them this way, you can get a full JCVD split if you want, or kick the Sonic's face, but that'll never happen. We have single jointed knees, 9 degrees of bend. There's a swivel above that. It's a little loose on my figure. Your results will be different. Finally, we come to the disappointment here. We do have a ball joint at the ankles, but due to the sculpting of his shoes here, there's no forgiveness. There is no free movement. You can get a swivel, but you're not getting no ankle rocker pivot anytime soon. Maybe a little up and down, but that's about it. Right. So, yeah, I'm a little bummed out that Eggman has the most articulation, and yet he doesn't have it well executed. And he also has the problem where he's got a pre-pose. Yes, he has articulation at the knees, and you can fix this if you want, but you do run the risk of stressing the joint over time. You can straighten them out. It takes a little forcing. Again, you do run the risk of stressing the joint there, so I don't recommend it. It's actually sculpted to be like this. This is where the stop is, thanks to this breakage right here. You can see that's where it stops. So he's always in a pre-posed position, but it does help out with balancing the top heaviness of this figure. So, his accessory is a spike trap. A very small spike trap, but nonetheless a spike trap. It is made out of gummy material. You're not going to hurt yourself anytime soon, or any kids. Peg hole at the bottom, probably for a playset or something. And if you buy multiples of Eggman, you can get a bed of spikes going on here that you can throw Sonic on if you want. Ha 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 ha. Right, that's it for these figures. Not bad. You know, granted, the scale is probably the best thing about these figures. The articulation, I've seen better. The sculpting, not too bad. They actually are quite impressive for the starting point of some articulated Sonic the Hedgehog action figures. And I thank Jakks for finally doing the right thing here. I'm not saying cancel the Bendy line anytime soon, but I'm not going to be buying any more Bendy figures from this point forward, because I know this is where the flagship is. It's going to be these articulated action figures. This is what the future is for this line, for as long as they have it. Right, anyway, let's take a look at some size comparison here. Here's the Bendy Tails figure, which is bigger than Tails. We'll get Shadow up in here if we can. Get him to stand up real quickly, because time is critical at this point. So there's Shadow. And here's Sonic, who's equal in scale with the articulated figure, surprisingly. And so is Shadow. Shadow's also equal in scale. The only one that isn't is the big Tails Bendy figure here, which I'm glad they corrected for the articulation line. So there you have that. Other figures that I can show off real quickly is the Jazzwares. Of course I drop them because I'm recording here. The Jazzwares Dr. Eggman in comparisons with the Jakks Pacific one. Here's Sonic the Hedgehog. Here's the Tails figure that I had to custom a little bit to get him to be a little smaller than Sonic. And here's Shadow, which has a difficult time standing up still. I have no reason why that is. It just, I'm trying here. I really am, and I'm running out of time because the battery's icon is popping up again that it's dying. But there you go. That's pretty much all that I really want to show off. I mean, I could show off these figures next to the long anticipated, maybe one day these worlds might actually cross together, the Star Fox figures. But I'm probably not going to get this in. I'll try my best here when closing this video here. So yeah, these are some really cool figures. Not bad for Wave 1. I can't wait to get my hands on Wave 2, which is supposed to be around the corner as well with the release of these figures. A couple of months from now, I should be able to get to a review on those. It'll be nice. It's a re-release of Tails and Sonic with different accessories, which also has Metal Sonic and Knuckles in the Wave. And speaking of which, real quickly, as I show off here, here's Knuckles, the Bendy figure. And there you go. That's going to wrap this up. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Yeah, I have to end it.